gonna backtrack. And you should've kept my name out your mouth. As we go, how it all turned out. When you try to use my name for clout, keep on going, give me something you can talk about.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing this fine? Wednesday, July 23rd, 2025. It is currently 5:35 p.m. We have some news that's like quasi-breaking news. I mean, it did just happen today. CANDACE Owens, famed podcaster. I mean, calling her, I said it last time, I'm calling her oh God, let me situate my water. A podcaster seems like a bit reductive. Like, there's a lot more going on than that, but I mean, I kind of feel the same way when I'm trying to like describe what it is I do. Like, I don't really know. Anyway, so I did make a video about this earlier, and in the video I made about this earlier, I said I'm trying to get my hands on the lawsuit. Well, Dateline has done put out the lawsuit. Okay, it's 218 pages long, so I don't want to, do too long of an intro. I want to get into it. You know why you're here. I know why you're here. You may have thought this was going to be a different video, as I also thought. But as I was watching Candace's live stream on her podcast just now, or her podcast live stream just now, which is very impressive, by the way. I mean, the way that she could do all what she does live, it's like, just like, again, like I kind of am in, like, I wouldn't say I do the same thing as her, but it's like, we both make videos for YouTube where we're talking about stuff that sometimes overlaps. I mean, I think I would give us that much in common. It's like the art form of like doing it. And it's like, wow. I mean, I don't really like consider myself to like have competition. I'm one of one, but I have to like recognize, acknowledge the like skill set of what she actually does. 'Cause it's all live. I mean, hello, hi, I'm live right now. Like you could see the difference. And again, I don't want to be compared to people, and I don't compare myself to people, but I kind of do like have to like give a little bit of acknowledgement of that. That's one thing that I have found to be very impressive about Candace Owens is that she does what she does live. And a lot of times it's about like kind of like important stuff, like really heavy, big, stuff. And she doesn't really like break that. I don't know. I guess I would call it like, the professionality. I know some of y'all are going to like not like Candace Owens and her ideas. And I will be fully upfront. I don't fully agree with, everything anybody out here on these internet streets is saying. Okay. Personally, I don't have, just so y'all know, if you're just like coming off the street and into this channel, I don't have a political affiliation. I do not have a political orientation. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm not independent. I'm not any of that. I don't want to be anything. I don't like to do labels. I'm trying to strip myself of most of them. Okay. Within reason. Okay. Some of them are, fine, but let's read the lawsuit, shall we? Oh, someone said they love my shirt and they can't see what it says. It is actually a shirt for the football team in Philly, the Eagles. They won the Super Bowl most recently. Fly, Eagles, fly. Anyway, okay. So, regardless if you like Candace Owens or not, it's kind of like not really the point of this video. It's not really the point of anybody. Like, it shouldn't really be the point of anybody's discussions. There's definitely mods in the chat. I see some of them. Shout out to the mods in the chat. So let's just keep it cute in the comment section, in the live section of the chats and stuff, because like, I'm just reading a very important lawsuit. Like, the president of a country and his spouse, his wife, the first lady of a country, have sued an American podcaster, or, whatever. Like I said, I'm calling her a podcaster because that's what, the news and the lawsuits and stuff are calling her. But I understand that she could be accurately called other things as well. Yeah, Philly, go Eagles. Mods, Sasha, are moderators. They're the ones with the little wrench by their names. They can do certain functions in the chat. And I give them a lot of, discretion. Because I can't be in the chat. When I'm reading stuff, I can't be in the chat worrying about what y'all are saying in there. Like, I have to be reading. Okay, here's the lawsuit. Now, again, I got this from Deadline. Deadline. Did I? Did I previously say Dateline? I meant Deadline. Okay. So as you can see, it says Emmanuel Macron and Brigitte Macron and Candace Owens. They're suing her. Okay. So in March, and this is, can you see it up here? Does it say the date up here? No. It's dated as of today. Again, it says it was filed in the Superior Court of the state of Delaware. So this is state court. I need a law student in here who knows what they're, or a lawyer who knows what, you know, the rules of what is it called? Like the jurisdictional, like the federal and all of that, like removing for this and removing for that. If the president of another country sues you in state court, can you have it removed to federal court? That's my question. Okay, so this is all breaking news. Like I said, you know, Candace just now went live, and she herself had not yet had, she said on her podcast, had not yet had the opportunity to read the entire 213 pages. So I don't know how much I have left in me, y'all. I mean, it's about 2 hours from my bedtime. I'm going to read this until I putter out. That's the right verb, right? I don't know. But let's see how much we can get through. It's 219 pages. Okay. In March last year, Candace Owens, a quote, right-wing podcaster, told the world she, quote, would stake her entire professional reputation on the fact that Brigitte Macron, the First Lady of France, is in fact a man. Okay. So if somehow you haven't already heard, if somehow you've managed to escape the news or the theories, I should say, the allegations, the speculations, there's been speculation, there's been reporting, there's been evidence presented that, quote, Brigitte Macron, the First Lady of France, is in fact a man. Well, the First Lady of France and her husband, the President of France, are saying enough. Fini. That was about the closest I could get in French. Sorry, y'all. Is the First Lady of France a man or not is going to be what this lawsuit is going to come down to. And not just like any old yes, no. This lawsuit, if it goes all the way through, which I would imagine that this is probably going to settle or be dismissed on free speech grounds before it would get anywhere. But like, let's say this actually got to trial or even, you know, depositions. It's the question is whether Brigitte Macron is, quote, in fact a man. So that's going to be a bigger question than yes, no, because we got to all get some, you know, enough people in here to agree what that even means. There's a lot like, and that sounds like, you know, I'm being obtuse, but I'm gonna let y'all know, like, there's like awards, medals being revoked from transgender athletes right now, athletes identifying as transgender, and, you know, saying, no, you weren't ever supposed to be competing in that competition because you are trans, which means, you know, this isn't my ideas. Okay. I'm just reporting what is contextually going on out here in the world. That's over here in the United States, but this is a lawsuit filed in the United States. So it's like, you know, kind of like an interesting side, like political question already going on anyway. And it shouldn't be, right? Like this type of stuff, I don't guess should be politicized, but nevertheless it has been. So now here we are. Interesting timing, you know, it's kind of all bubbling up around this issue right now. Since then, you know, since the tweet in March last year, the whole, you know, I would stake my entire reputation on the fact that Brigitte Macron, First Lady of France, is in fact, so she said fact twice in this sentence. That's what they're going to try to trip her up on. And I don't want to like get out in front and tell y'all what my opinion is yet. I will insert my opinion, but I want to go through and just kind of let y'all form your own opinion as well. But I will say the law firm that the Macrons have hired is a very good, very aggressive, like in insofar as like they win. Like they're kind of iconic. The law firm, they're kind of iconic for defamation cases. Like remember Dominion, the voting polls machine maker that had that big lawsuit, and then they won like $700 million again. I think was it against Fox? Don't let me misspeak. Somebody fact check me. I'll tell me in the live chat. But the Dominion, the voting polls lawsuit, like this law firm was involved. I think they were the lead ones. So the Macron's lawyers are kind of iconic. That being said, defamation cannot be found where there's no defamation. So, you can have the best law firm in the world. That doesn't mean you're gonna lose. I'm sure they lose cases all the time. Okay, so these are just factors to kind of consider on either side of the scale. So since March 2024, they're saying Owens, that's Candace Owens, has used this false statement that Brigitte is a man. That's what they're saying is the false statement to promote her independent platform, gain notoriety, and make money. Owens disregarded all credible evidence disproving her claim. So I'm interested to see in this 19 pages what evidence they're going to show. I want to see it. I want to see all the evidence, both sides. I haven't made my mind up yet. And you know what? It's really not my business. I don't really actually care at all. I don't really actually care at all if Brigitte Macron was born a man or a woman, because you want to know what I stopped caring at after, I found out one thing and then I stopped caring about any damn thing other else, is that when Brigitte Macron was a teacher, what year was it even, y'all? Was it around the same time that Jeffrey Epstein was teaching at the whatever in the hell uppity ass school he was teaching at? I'm wondering. I don't know. It's all a blur. When I found out Brigitte Macron was a teacher of any gender at a school, that she met somebody as her student, and decided to enter into a relationship with that person at any time ever, I'm just now learning that they actually pulled the kid out of school and put him somewhere else because they found out about this grotesque and detestable so-called relationship, which it makes me feel nasty to even call it that. Okay, so whether or not whatever gender is completely beyond the point as far as I'm concerned. Any private parts downstairs don't matter to me. If you did that, that's what I needed to know. Thank you. Okay. However, we're here to read this lawsuit. Okay. We're making great time, everybody. 219 pages, and it took me 13 minutes to get through one paragraph. Good job, me. Okay. The lawsuit says Candace disregarded all credible evidence, disproving her claim in favor of platforming known conspiracy theorists and proven defamers. Now, y'all remember this proven defamers thing because it's going to come up again. And rather than engage with President and Mrs. Macron's attempts to set the record straight, okay, so they're claiming that they've made attempts to set the record straight. I'm going to start putting in purple like the evidence I'm looking for. I don't ever use purple. Thank God there was not an extra color. The purple stuff is like, I'm looking for this evidence. I want to see it. She disregarded all credible evidence, disproving her claim that Brigitte Macron is a man in favor of platforming known conspiracy theorists and proven defamers. And rather than engage with President and Mrs. Macron's attempts to set the record straight, Owens mocked them and used them as additional fodder for her frenzied fan base. And she has since made her live and said, yep, that's us. We frenzied. We get frenzied over PDF philia. That's what she said. Okay, I'm just reporting what she said moments ago. The lawsuit says Owens did not stop there. retaliating against the Macrons for the audacity of sending her a retraction demand, Owens helmed an 8-part podcast. And this is really what I think they're the most mad about. The 8-part podcast series entitled Becoming Brigitte. And accompanying, she also made accompanying X or Twitter posts. She was tweeting too. Throughout the series, Owens and her entities, Candace Owens LLC and George Tom Inc., endorsed, repeated, and published a series of verifiably and devastating lies about the Macrons, on which this complaint is based. The outlandish, defamatory, and far-fetched fictions included that Mrs. Macron was born a man, stole another person's identity, and transitioned to become Brigitte. Mrs. Macron and President Macron are blood relatives. This is one of the allegations that they're saying. This is one of Candace's defamatory allegations, according to Brigitte and Emmanuel Macron. Again, world powers, world leaders suing somebody for, anything. I mean, this is unprecedented as far as I'm aware. Now, I did get a few comments. On my previous video saying things like, well, how would you like to have to answer whether or not you were born a woman? Or how would you like to answer, medical privacy, blah, blah, something. I will admit I wouldn't like that very much. But that's really not what I would like is hardly the point. And what people like is not the point. The point is what you have the right to do, what you have the right to say, and what you have what you have the right to say. You have the right to voice your opinions when you're not saying it as if it is a verified fact. Candace Owens said, among other things that they're upset about on the Macron side, she said that she would be willing to stake her entire professional career on the fact that Brigitte Macron was born, or Brigitte Macron is in fact a man. Now, because she said the word fact in that statement twice, I'm sure that the plaintiff's lawyer, the Macrons, are really going to dig into that and say she was saying it as if it was a fact. Now, I'm sure, she's going to come back and say, no, I'm staking my career on it. It's hyperbole. And I think the larger argument that she will make is they, meaning Brigitte and Emmanuel, had an opportunity to set the record straight. This is what I think Candace is going to say. I asked them, was Brigitte, in fact, indeed born a man? They never would come out and say, no, Brigitte was always born a woman. Or like the person, specifically the person married to Emmanuel Macron today, who lives in the Élysée Palace. Is that person the same person who was born Brigitte Macron, or were they born another name? She's asking these questions. And again, like y'all in the comments who are saying like that's inappropriate to be asking somebody, and would I like to be asked those questions? I mean, I guess not, but like truly it wouldn't, it wouldn't drive me to the point of suing somebody. Like if you're, y'all are asking in the comments, how would I like it? It would annoy me. But I will tell y'all, people accuse me of all kinds of things. People have accused me. People I was nice to. People I was nice to publicly. People that I have put on. People that I have promoted. People that I still like. I don't even know what even happened. They have accused me of doing cocaine on live streams. Like people that actually run in my circle. Like I'm not the president of freaking France. I'm not his wife. People say all kinds of stuff about me. Am I going to run out and sue that person before I, like, for example, make public statements saying, for example, I've never done that substance in my life? Because, like, I have said. I've never even tried it. I've never even touched it. I could probably count on one hand how many times I've even been in the same room with it knowingly. Even that somebody had it, like even knowing it was in there. Maybe. I've never done that in my life. So I'll say stuff like that. And it's like, before I would sue, think I would do other measures. Now, am I saying like Brigitte Macron needs to go down to the blood clinic, to the lab core, to the Quest Diagnostic Center? Am I saying she needs to go for a bone density analysis? Of course not. Of course, I'm not saying that the First Lady of France should have to subject herself to this type of medical testing, but or validity or whatever. But here's the thing: the First Lady of France has now determined that that is what is going to have to happen, because to sue for defamation, the thing the person said got to be false. Okay. So you can't just say, Your Honor, take my word for it. Like let's take the gender thing out of it. That's like a hotly charged issue. Take my word for it, Your Honor. I broke my back on Jim Bob's construction site. I don't have no x-rays to show it. I don't have no medical records to show it or anything, but just take my word for it, Your Honor. I broke my back and I need some money from him. That, like, do you see how there's no evidence there? Like, so a judge isn't going to just be like, oh yeah, I'm going to take your word for it because Jim Bob's saying, hell no, he did not. That ain't even my property or whatever, right? So the same kind of like thing sort of applies here. It's like Brigitte Macron has now determined and decided that she's going to leave it up to a court in Delaware to decide not only if she is in fact a man, but also what it even means to be in fact a man. I mean, this is legal. This is legal terminology. As you know, if you follow this channel for any length of time, there's like the layperson definition for stuff, but then there's like legal definition for stuff. Coercion is one of those things. Other things she has supposedly alleged is that President Macron was chosen to be the president of France as part of the CIA-operated MK Ultra program or a similar mind control program. Well, that is interesting theory right there. That President Macron was chosen to be the president of France. Oh, also somebody told me, before I speak on this topic, I need to watch CANDACE Owens' entire 8-part series before I speak on the topic. Don't tell me what are you crazy? Some people have skedaddled into here that think I work for them, y'all. I got a little bit of a shudder because I know before you make a comment, you got to like agree that I don't work for you or something. It was, Anyway, so she has supposedly alleged that Emmanuel Macron was chosen to be the president of France by the CIA. Why would the president of France be chosen by the United States CIA-operated MK Ultra program? Oh, or a similar. Okay, so maybe France has a similar mind control program. Okay, interesting. I want to know what that's about. Okay, and then also, Mrs. Macron, that's Brigitte, and Emmanuel, the president, are committing, quote, forgery, fraud, and abuses of power to conceal these secrets. Well, this is just too much. Okay, let's move on. Again, y'all, I mean, I don't know any of these people. Never talked to any of them. I don't know if any of this, what's true, what's not true. I'm just reading this public lawsuit from that Deadline put up. Thanks so much, New Life Plan, for the $49.99. During a Diddy reading last year, you said, go for the head of the snake. I commented I was afraid of what we would find. I still am. If you will hurt a child, there is nothing you won't do. Alleged elite PDF files. We are not okay in the open air prison. Listen, all I can do is stay packed up, prayed up, ready to go up and keep doing what I'm doing. You know, I just got to keep being attached to the work I'm doing itself. We can't live in fear. Thank you so much for that $49.99. But I do remember you saying you scared to go to the head of the snake because what we gonna see? Thank you, Mrs. Williams, for the $2 super chat. CO's series on this is good. I have seen some of the episodes. Just to let y'all know, I have seen some of the episodes. But it was, I was in India when some of it was coming out, if I recall correctly. It was like spotty. I didn't actually ever go back and like fully watch the interview. So there's like stuff that I would need to catch up on. But I'm telling y'all that to let you know I'm not an expert on this. You know, I would encourage you to go and watch her reporting and go and read all kinds of other sources as well and make up your own mind based on the evidence. I am not purporting to know anything more than what we're reading here. Again, thank you, Mrs. Williams, for the $2 super chat. Okay, these claims are demonstrably false, the Macron's lawyer says, and Owens knew they were false when she published them. This is important because this is an aspect of the actual malice standard that, because the Macrons are public figures, there's like a heightened burden for defamation because we over here in the United States are supposed to have a protected, speech rights and stuff. But anyway, so she knew they were false, but she published it anyway. And the reason is clear. What's the reason? It is not the pursuit of truth, but the pursuit of fame. After being fired from the Daily Wire, Owens used these demonstrably false claims to promote her independent podcast, CANDACE. Her fan base has grown to a 6.9 million followers on X. Wow. And 4.47 million subscribers on YouTube. Whoa. The most popular podcasts in the world, this has to be Joe Rogan, have discussed her investigation, and they put investigation in quotes, into the Macron's history. She launched a revamped website, CandaceOwens.com, fueled by her desire to make these specific false claims about the Macrons without adhering to content moderation policies. So they're saying she put this on CandaceOwens.com because she knew YouTube was going to take it down. But so what? I mean, that's what you should do. You shouldn't publish something to YouTube that you know violates its policies. And if you want to put it out somewhere and it's not illegal, then you should. And you should put it on your own website and not put anybody else's, platform in on it if it violates their policies. I mean, I would think that would be the responsible thing to do. Paragraph 4, this is nothing new for Owens. She has built a brand on provocation, not truth. She labels herself as an independent, quote, investigative journalist, while routinely peddling misinformation under the guise of legitimate reporting. Tisk, tisk. If it sounds like I'm a little bit low-key, kind of on Candace Owens' side, it is, I will admit to y'all, and most of y'all know this already, I do have a little bit of a bias against public figures who file defamation claims. It's some of this stuff could have been written word for word, verbatim, almost. It's giving me flashbacks to a, now dismissed with prejudice defamation case filed in federal court against me. That was finally just dismissed this month with prejudice. But it's so much of this stuff was said about me and it wasn't true. And I will say, again, I just want to reiterate, I do not know exactly, what happened here. I don't know what's going on. I'm just reading the public documents. So I'm not really for anybody's side at this point. I will say there are some peculiar behaviors from the Macrons, I think, that are unusual, but that doesn't mean I think somebody's a man or something. I don't, and, again, even if somebody was, I don't really care. I told y'all where I started and stopped caring. Okay. So they go on, they're dragging Candace. This is the drag Candace era of the lawsuit. She has promoted a range of conspiracy theories, including anti-vaccine falsehoods, long debunked anti-Semitic tropes such as blood libel and bleep distortion. That one's one you got to be careful of talking about over here. Going so far as to dismiss the atrocities of one of these scientists' medical experiments as mere propaganda. All this stuff could be true, could be not, but I did watch her live and she said this stuff's not true. Her content is not intended to inform, but to inflame and attract attention through sensationalism and conspiracy theories. This conspiracy theory, that's what they also accused me of. And it was to the point where I was yep, I am. Sure I am. I have theories. I have theories that there's conspiracies. Oh, yes, I do. Anyway, paragraph 5. Owens published the series and related X posts with reckless disregard for the truth. She was repeatedly presented with credible, verifiable evidence. Again, I want to see it. What is it? Disproving her claims, including documentation, public records, and direct outreach from the Macrons. Ooh, they reached out directly. Instead of correcting the record, she doubled down. At the time, Ms. Macron had won. At the time, Brigitte had won French defamation claims against others, but those have now been overturned on appeal. Owens fully was aware of the truth, and she has not only declined to retract her statements, but has actively expanded on them. These lies have caused tremendous damage to the Macrons. Defendants have subjected the Macrons to a campaign of global humiliation, turning their lives into fodder for profit-driven lies. Owens has dissected their appearance, their marriage, their friends, their family, their personal history. I think it's good for their personal history to be dissected, since considering she was his teacher and superior at the school, and then he was took out of school when it was found out what they were on with. But in the lawsuit, they're like, oh, that was all legal. You'll see. They get to it, twisting it all into a grotesque narrative designed to inflame and degrade. The result is relentless bullying on a worldwide scale. And this is where I was like, y'all are presidents. Y'all are the president and the first lady. You have the power to start a war, and you worrying about bullying? Please grow up. Please grow up. Please grow up. If you cannot handle a little bit of somebody called your wife a man, you should not be the president of anywhere. Come on. Every time the Macrons leave their home, they do so knowing that countless people have heard, and many believe, these vile fabrications. It is invasive, dehumanizing, and deeply unjust. Faced with this relentless and unjustified smear campaign, the Macrons are left with no choice but to seek relief through this court to set the record straight. See, this is another place where I kind of don't buy it, because there's a lot of ways to set the record straight that are easier, cheaper, less traumatic, less painful. And I ain't talking about an x-ray, okay? Like, some of these other things they're asking for is like a single picture of her with, her kids when they were growing up, or a single picture of her pregnant, or, so it's like, should she have to give somebody a picture of her pregnant? No, but think about it from a practical standpoint, y'all. If you were in the position where you could simply end it, squash it without spending what's going to be at probably hundreds of thousands or possibly millions of dollars, would you not go for one of those routes first? And it's like, well, she can do what she wants. Exactly. She shouldn't have to, but if she don't want to, then don't. Like, she's doing something. And her stated purpose is to, quote, set the record straight. Well, like, how? With a court order? You're going to have to show some evidence that you are not, quote, in fact, a man. Does she know this? The judge is not going to just take her word for it. It's just confusing. And hold her accountable for her conduct. Okay, so the parties, Emmanuel Macron, the president of France. Oh my God. He's been the president of France for like freaking, god dang, how long did they get to be president? Since 2017 he's been president? Prior to being elected, he served as Minister of Economics, Industry, and Digital Affairs, and Deputy Secretary General to the president. He married Brigitte in 2007. So he married her. And 10 years later, he was the president. Plaintiff Brigitte Macron is a French citizen, the spouse of the current president of France, and a woman. Okay, all right. Well, listen. I hear you. She was born Brigitte Trogneau in Amiens, France, on April 13th, 1953, and she's the youngest of 6 children. She gave birth to 3 children from her first marriage to André Louis Auzier. Miss Macron is a former teacher. In 2007, she married Emmanuel Macron. Defendant Candace Owens is a citizen of the United States, lives in Tennessee. She's married to George Thomas Stahel Farmer, a British citizen. Now, Candace said this is false, this is cap, this ain't true. But they're saying that she holds a British citizenship, and she says she does not, and that's not true. She's considered a political commentator and is a self-described conservative. She hosts a podcast called Candace, which is published on her X account by Candace Owens LLC on CandaceOwens.com, by George Tom Inc., and across various other platforms. She is a member and sole manager of Candace Owens LLC, and she maintains control of defendant George Tom Inc. She's a limited Candace. Okay, so these are the companies. Okay. Non-party Jean-Michel Trogneau is the older brother of Brigitte. He was also born in Amiens. Is that Amiens? Amiens? Amiens. 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 He was born in 1945. He still lives there today. Non-party Xavier Poussard is an investigative journalist and editor of La Lettre de Xavier Poussard. He was a part owner of Fait Document, a confidential newsletter. Okay, so he owned this newsletter that published, quote, false and defamatory claims regarding plaintiffs similar to those espoused by Candace. Owens claims the writings by Xavier inspired her false and defamatory claims. Poussard is Owens's primary source. Okay, so Xavier Poussard is the primary source. Then there's also non-party Natasha Ray. She is an investigative journalist who has also spread the same, quote, false and defamatory claims about the Macrons. She originated the claims in France, so she is the originator of these claims. As a result, Mrs. Macron prosecuted a libel case in France against both Natasha Ray and Amandine Roy. Natasha Ray is a key source for Owens and Poussard. Okay. Non-party Amandine Roy is a self-proclaimed spiritual medium who interviewed Natasha Ray, in 2021 for a since-deleted YouTube video. In 2021, in a 4-hour interview, Roy and Ray broadcast false and defamatory claims regarding Miss Macron, which prompted her libel claim in France. Roy is a leading source for Owens and Poussard. Now, why isn't Poussard being sued, or is he? This court has subject matter jurisdiction and personal jurisdiction because of the LLC. I'm not going to get too much into the jurisdiction arguments because I don't know much about them, so I'll just wait to see what they file in court. Then we get to the so-called facts section, the factual allegations, and they have it divided up into these sections. President Macron rose to power in France, embodying a modern, dynamic image of leadership that resonates with many citizens. Okay, so this thing is written like a fluff piece, just so y'all know. But that's normal and is to be expected. President Macron was born on December 21st, 1977 in Amiens, France, to François Nogue, a physician, and Jean-Michel Macron, a neurologist. Wait. Which one's the girl? Francois, that's a boy name, right? And Jean-Michel? Somebody French, please help me out. Which one is which? From an early age, Macron demonstrated intellectual curiosity and emotional sensitivity. Nurtured in large part by his close bond with his maternal grandmother, Manette. a school teacher who introduced him to literature. Oh man, y'all, we getting into it. This is the whole family tree. So Emmanuel Macron got this grandmother. It's his mama's mama. All right. That's Manette. She taught school and introduced him to literature and progressive political ideals. Okay, interesting. President Macron attended La Providence, a Jesuit high school in Amiens, where he first met Brigitte, a French and drama teacher. Oh, she's going to love hearing my French pronunciations, ain't she? Laissez-les bon temps rouler. At the time, whenever President Macron was just a wee teen, Mrs. Macron was an accomplished educator and mother of 3. Their early interactions were centered around academic mentorship. Well, I would sure hope so. And their shared passion for literature and theater. A 30-something-year-old woman and a 13 to 15-year-old boy. And that's her student. Paragraph 23. On April 13th, 1953, in Amiens, France, Mrs. Macron was born Brigitte Trogneau, a woman. She was the youngest of 6 children in a prominent chocolate-making family. Okay, so they French chocolate makers. That's interesting. Also in Amiens. An image of her birth announcement and a family photo featuring Miss Macron as a child is below. Okay, so this is in the freaking lawsuit. What times is this, y'all? Here's the birth announcement, and here's that infamous picture. I mean, I think we've all seen this one. And this is the one that they're trying to say is actually Brigitte. But Brigitte is saying, no, this is me, freaks. But who's this one? I mean, I don't know. I don't know who any of these people's. No, I don't know. Mrs. Macron married her first husband, André Louis Ozier, in 1974 when she was 21. They had 3 children. The children's names were Lawrence, Sebastian, and Tiffany. Tiffon. Is it Tiffon? Lawrence, Sebastian, and Tiffon. We'll go with that. A photo from Miss Macron's and Mr. Alzier's wedding is below. Okay, so remember, what are we reading? We are reading, and this, look, first of all, is this not Kenneth Copeland? Does this not look like Kenneth Copeland, that demon pastor? Can we just stop right there? Nobody sue me, okay? I'm just saying that it resembles. Anyway, so what are we reading? Right, again, this is the president of France, the sitting president of France, and his wife are suing Candace Owens. We're reading their lawsuit against her. It was filed today. And this is purportedly a photograph. This is what Brigitte Macron is saying right here, right now, under penalty of perjury. She's 21 years old in this photograph. And this is her wedding. That's her getting married right there. That is Brigitte. That is André Louis Alzier. This is 1974. This is not Kenneth Copeland, despite, what it appears. And this is not Leor Cohen. Okay. Just to let y'all know. This is 1974. That's Brigitte. Now, I will say, it's too blurry to really be able to tell. I guess it could be. The Kardashians don't resemble themselves from back then either. You know what I mean? When they were 21 either. So who knows? Plastic surgery can really do miracles. I don't know. She's saying that's her. We're going to have to see. Mrs. Macron began her career teaching in Paris and Strasbourg before joining La Providence in the early 90s. There, she taught French and directed the school's theater workshop. All roads leads to clowns. Through the school's theater program, President Macron and Mrs. Macron formed a deeper intellectual connection. Ew. Vom. During a school production, and at this time he was like maybe 15 at the oldest from what has been reported. I don't know. I wasn't there. I didn't do his birth certificate check or anything, but he was like a teen and she was his teacher. During a school production of Jacques and His Master, President Macron played the lead role under Mrs. Macron's Brigitte's direction. Emmanuel later undertook an ambitious rewrite of another play, The Art of Comedy, to create roles for more students. Just lure more, there's Pied Piper them kids right into that theater program run by that freaky creep. I mean, in my opinion, I don't know. I wasn't there. I wasn't born. Okay. I mean, my parents were barely born. They were toddlers. Mrs. Macron agreed to guide him. They call anything these days. To guide him. And the two began meeting regularly to collaborate. That's what they call when they get together and do OnlyFans shoots. They call it collaborating on a shoot. Isn't that fun? Isn't that interesting? Anyway, at all times, the teacher-student relationship between Mrs. Macron and President Macron remained within the bounds of the law. But when President Macron's parents became aware of what? This is very interesting how this is worded. What did the parents become aware of? His strong feelings for his teacher. Not their mutual feelings. No, it's him. It's all his fault. It's the 15-year-old's fault. 16, 17, even. They decided, Emmanuel's parents decided to transfer him to a different school in Paris. Brigitte Macron encouraged him to leave and was confident he would fall in love with a peer. Yet before his departure, he told her, "Whatever you do, I will marry you." So this is all this little boy's fault, everybody. And they're blaming him in the lawsuit. I mean, it's today this was filed. President Macron completed his studies at that school that his parents had transferred him over there to and went on to earn a degree in philosophy from Paris Nanterre Université, followed by a master's degree in public affairs. A master's degree in public affairs. Wow. From Sciences Po. He then attended the prestigious École Nationale d'Administration, which is the training school for the elite, civil servants. After graduating, he began his career as a finance inspector. So like an auditor at the French Ministry of Economy and Finance. Over the years, President Macron and Miss Macron kept in touch and their love deepened. Okay, so admitting that there was love. So is that within the bounds of the law? I mean, girl, I don't know. I'm not a French lawyer. I do not know. In 2006, Mrs. Brigitte Macron divorced her first husband and the very next year married Emmanuel Macron. Their relationship has remained strong and supportive and marked by a deep intellectual partnership. Girl, stop acting like we didn't all just see her swooshing him in the face on a plane 2 months ago or whatever it was. The relationship has remained strong. She don't even hold his hand coming down French Force One no more. The year after they got married, President Macron joined Rothschild and C-Bank. Girl. Please. I want off this ride. As an investment banker, what in the hell is a freaking public affairs major doing being an investment banker? He got a philosophy degree. Hold on. He got hired at the Rothschild banking firm to be an investment banker. Where is the banking training? Completed his studies at the school that he transferred to because he had feelings for his teacher. Went on to earn a philosophy degree from this Paris university and then a master's degree in public affairs, and then miraculously became a finance inspector. His love is deepening for the teacher all the while. That's weird. And then he starts working for the Rothschild Bank as an investment banker. Okay. All right. Got it. Okay. Cute. Awesome. That's very, very interesting. Where he achieved notable success. His public serving, y'all. Oh my God, please, y'all. Oh God. It's like really out here, huh? Thank you, Elena Marie, for the $2 super chat. His grandma introduced him to Perv Lit. Oh, ew. Gross. Thank you for the $2. Thank you for the $2 super chat again, Elaine. I'm going to read these PDF files. Keep it in the. Oh my God, girl. Ew. I rebuke. I rebuke. We need some rebuke in the chat. Thank you, New Life Plan, for the $9.99 super chat. I don't care how it's made legal. A 15-year-old and a 40-year-old should never be physical. Shame on the adult, or even a 62 and 19 on Skid Row. I hear that opinion, New Life Plan. I hear that opinion that you are stating. Thank you for that $9.99. Thanks so much, Heather, for the $20 super chat. I love that you are going over this lawsuit. I'm a fan of Candace. But it's nice getting another perspective from the law side of things. Huge fan of yours here. Thanks. P.S. I think green is your color. Thanks so much. Well, that would make sense because my eyes are green. So I also think I just discovered I have olive, like pale olive complexion, like undertone or overtone or whatever. And it does sound kind of funny because it's like, how could, see-through be olive? It's like you would think if somebody has a tan. But like, actually, now that I've started using more olive undertone stuff, I think it actually does look better. So stay tuned for updates. Anyway, okay. So his public service career resumed. Okay. So he went work for this Rothschild bank, the Cirque du Soleil Rothschild bank. And he was an investment banker for a while, but then he rushed back into his public service career in 2012 when he joined then President Francois Hollande administration as deputy chief of staff. Like chief of where did he get the experience to do this in investment banking and studying philosophy and social public affairs? I'm just it's giving Maureen Comey. It's giving Maureen Comey. His public in his 1 year after he married Brigitte, right? 2008, the year after he married Brigitte, he starts working at Cirque du Rothschild and as an investment banker. Does that 4 years. And then in 2012, he goes work for the president. What? As the deputy chief of staff. What are you talking about? Okay. Then 2 years later, he's appointed minister of the economy. Oh no. Oh no. He implemented key economic reforms. Oh, I'm scared. What were they? Later known as the Macron law. They named a law after him. I'm scared. Y'all know all these elites freak me out. All these UK, European elites. I like the people over there. Y'all my cousins. But those freaks that are in charge over there are still the same ones that were in charge when my people left. We broke off, cousins. We broke off. And it's just in my genes to just like stranger danger with these freaking elites over there in Europe. Nope. If your family hadn't lost and got stripped of your title at least a couple times in the lineage, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to hear from it. I don't want to hear from you. Get away. No. If you hadn't been disinvited to like at least a couple royal events in the last few years, no. Get away. Shoo. Okay. So as that president that Macron was working for, his popularity started to decline, apparently, according to this lawsuit, amid economic difficulties and rising nationalism. President, and now again, this is like literally being put out like by a president and his wife. So take it as it could be propaganda. It could be fake. It could be not true. I'm not reading it as if it's, telling y'all it's true. I'm reading it as if it's being alleged as it's true by them, and you can make your own decision up. But as that president's popularity began to decline amid economic difficulties, this is according to the Macrons, and rising nationalism, President Macron began distinguishing his platform from that of the sitting administration. So he started snaking. He started shooting his shot. He saw the ship was sinking. He wasn't going down with the ship. He was going to step right off and get on his own ship and be president. That's what the lawsuit is saying. He recognized the need for a new centrist movement to address the challenges of the moment. In 2016, he founded the political movement En Marche, which means forward. Wait, isn't that the same exact? Wait, isn't that Obama's campaign slogan, forward? With a period at the end, but his has an exclamation, which he described as a democratic revolution. Okay. Later that year, he resigned from his ministerial post and declared his candidacy for president. His campaign emphasized pro-European centrist policies and quickly gained national momentum. Brigitte, of course, joined her husband on the campaign trail, acting as a central figure and key advisor to his campaign. Now, this is coming from the Macrons in their legal filing. Following the first round of elections in April 2017, President Macron publicly credited Mrs. Macron for his success. Okay, all right. That is interesting. Because I keep remembering her smashing him in the face on that plane. In 2017, he said, "Without her, I wouldn't be me." That is freaky. That is not good. He went on to win the presidency in May, so the very next month. Upon assuming office, President Macron formally established an official, unpaid role for the First Lady. Okay, well, what was it? Face smasher? In this capacity, Miss Macron represents France in diplomatic settings. Oh my God. See, this is what my ancestors had to leave. We had to bounce. Goodbye. We're not letting, no. Oh, now your wife is going to be the diplomat to France and foreign meetings. Nobody voted for that. No. Listen, it's getting bad over here too. That's why I got to get on here every day and lose my voice talking about it. It's getting bad over here too. Okay. She also supports charitable causes and engages in initiatives related to education, health, disability, and child protection. Does she have an orphanage in Haiti? I want to know. Her responsibilities are supported by an advisory cabinet. So they got all kind of roles. How many family roles for the inbred elites did they put together? Now, I'm not saying these specific ones are inbred. Don't sue me for defamation, okay? I don't know. I wasn't there whenever the marriages were consummated, all right? I don't know when anything happened. I didn't see it. I didn't hear it. Nobody even told me about it, okay? Her responsibilities are supported by an advisory cabinet. So they got all kind of people working for her. They created all kind of jobs. France, congratulations. That's what your money's going to. Mrs. Macron is a strong, independent woman who has consistently forged her own path. Throughout her life, she has refused to be confined by societal expectations or limited by traditional roles. That's interesting wording. As First Lady of France, she has made deliberate, thoughtful choices rooted in conviction and purpose. Far from merely supporting her husband from the sidelines, she has been an active and engaged partner, respected for her intellect, influence, and refusal to simply do as she is told. Who's trying to simply do? Who is trying to tell her to simply do as she is told? I need to know, because I know they must have got sued too. Her life and work embody a commitment to education, civic engagement, and personal agency. Okay, that all could be true. I don't know. Okay, so now they're going to the next section. This one is entitled, Brigitte Macron is the target of a vicious conspiracy crafted by those threatened by her influence. Okay, so these people started this because why? They were threatened by her influence. Okay, let's hear it. Around March 2021, Natasha Ray, who describes herself as an independent journalist, published on her now deleted Facebook profile false and defamatory claims alleging that Mrs. Macron is a transgender woman, perpetuating identity theft. Okay, so there was allegation that she was specifically transgender. Okay, by who? Natasha Ray. This was that independent journalist who got sued, lost, but then appealed and won. So there's no more defamation. These baseless allegations initially failed to attract significant public attention, but that changed when Natasha Ray began working with Xavier Poussard. In May 2021, Poussard began publishing a multi-issue series entitled The Mystery of Brigitte Macron. That series recycled and expanded on numerous falsehoods, including defamatory insinuations regarding Ms. Macron's alleged biological sex. Allegations later amplified and expanded on by Owens. In September 2021, Natasha Ray collaborated with Xavier Poussard to co-author a publication in that confidential newsletter It was founded in 1996 by Emmanuel Ratier. Okay. On December 10th, 2021, Natasha Ray appeared on a YouTube channel of somebody else named Amandine Roy, a self-described spiritual medium. Roy conducted a 4-hour interview. Whoa. 4-hour interview with Natasha Ray, during which Ray reiterated the defamatory claims that Miss Macron was, in fact, born a male named Jean-Michel Trogneau, which is the actual name of Mrs. Macron's brother. So the theory of Natasha Ray, allegedly, according to this lawsuit, is that Brigitte Macron that we know today was actually born Jean-Michel Trogneau. But Brigitte is saying, no, shut up, stupid. That's my brother, dummy. I'm Brigitte. My brother is Jean-Michel Trogneau. They're claiming, the theory claims that Brigitte stole the identity of the true Brigitte. So we got identity theft allegation. They also claimed that Mrs. Macron's first husband never existed and that she did not carry her 3 children. The video quickly went viral, amassing more than 450,000 views before it was removed by YouTube. Okay, so they got YouTube. They must got the same hookup that Rock Nation got, because this video got removed, the nearly 4-hour interview. In December 2021, the hashtag Jean-Michel Trogneau, wow, that is a confusingly spelled hashtag, there must be a better way, began trending on X, formerly Twitter, with users pointing to the fact that there are few public photos of Mrs. Macron from her youth, and she often hides her neck. And this was the so-called alleged proof that Brigitte Macron is allegedly, supposedly, according to these theorists, a transgender individual. From that point forward, the false narrative was amplified by prominent far-right influencers in France. Then, by September 2024, a French court held that Ray and Roy defamed Mrs. Macron for spreading false rumors that Mrs. Macron was born Jean-Michel Trogneau, later stole the identity of Brigitte Trogneau. The defamation suit confirmed that Ray and Roy's claims and all documents related to Macron's birth, marriage, divorce, and childbearing were forged to conceal her actual sex were false. Okay, so this is really rich, okay? Because they're like, look, we won this lawsuit. They were ordered to pay us money. And look, they got a little footnote right here. Look, the footnote. Let's go to footnote 5. An interim appellate court overturned this judgment on July 10th, 2025. The case is now on appeal to France's highest court. The appellate court did not overturn the judgment on the basis that the statements were true, but on other grounds. Mrs. Macron firmly believes that all the statements included in that proceeding are false. Okay, well, her belief is completely irrelevant. Okay, after multiple victories against Ray and Roy, but then them beating y'all back, the Macrons thought these false claims had been put to bed. But as discussed below, Owens turned this flame into a fire. We move on to the next section. Owens is a far-right conspiracy theorist who thrives on making outrageous claims, prioritizing shock value and follower growth over truth or responsible discourse. Owens did not always espouse extreme right-wing ideals. She was born in White Plains, New York, and raised in Stamford, Connecticut. She graduated from Stanford High School in 2007 and went to University of Rhode Island before leaving due to financial issues. And I don't know if this is true or not. They could be making this up. Following her departure from university, Owens completed an internship at Vogue magazine and was later hired as an administrative assistant at a private equity firm. That is interesting, in New York. In 2015, she left the financial sector to start a marketing agency called Degree 180. Degree 180's website featured a blog that gained notoriety for publishing progressive, anti-conservative, and anti-Trump content. The exact opposite of her current views. Who cares? Who freaking cares? Like that, I'm glad. I'm glad to know people can change their views on things, because I certainly have. I have definitely had the exact opposite views on things in my life. That all changed in 2016 when Candace Owens launched socialautopsy.com. It was a website that aimed to expose individuals responsible for online harassment by publishing their identities. The project was widely condemned across the political spectrum, with both conservative and progressive voices expressing concerns over privacy and potential misuse. In retaliation, critics shared Owens' personal information online, so she got doxxed. Owens has attributed the widespread criticism and retaliation efforts to two progressives who had attempted to convince Owens to abandon the project. While Candace was being criticized by those who purportedly shared her beliefs, she received support from prominent figures associated with the far right. She publicly stated that this was the catalyst for her ideological shift, remarking, "I became conservative overnight." I don't care. Like all this so far, like I really do not care. But maybe y'all do, so I'll read it. Like about like why is she conservative, or the fact she's conservative? I don't care. I don't care if she's conservative. I don't care if she's Democrat. I don't care if she's liberal. It's like, this is a defamation case. Can we get to the defamation points? In late 2016, she began expressing support for Donald Trump and his presidential run, which you wouldn't have found me doing, but y'all, I mean, like millions of people did that. Like, again, like who cares? Can you get to the defamation? By 2017, Owens had completely flipped political sides, aggressively ramping up her online criticism of liberal ideology and policies through her YouTube channel. She further amplified her voice and newfound point of view to young conservatives through her role as communications director of Turning Point USA, a nonprofit organization that advocates for conservative ideals on high school and college campuses nationwide. They're the ones who have been accused of like kind of cooking the books when it comes to like elections, like college, class president and, stuff like that. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm telling y'all, it's just an allegation. I haven't really investigated it. In 2019, Owens founded the what? Is this true? In 2019, Owens founded the Blexit movement, which encouraged Black Americans to leave the Democratic Party. That same year, she launched the Candace Owens Show, a podcast on YouTube where she interviewed conservative figures. In August 2019, she married George Farmer, a British citizen and the son of Lord Michael Farmer. Uh-oh. Who are the Farmers, y'all? We got to know. August 2019, she married George Farmer. So does that mean he's a lord? Or his dad got to die first? May he live long or whatever. But a British citizen and the son of Lord Michael Farmer. Farmer. My British accent ain't too good. A former treasurer of the Conservative Party. When the couple met in December 2018, they didn't even know each other for a year. George Farmer was chairman of Turning Point UK and later became CEO of Parler, a far-right social media platform. Okay. So they probably met working at Turning Point, I guess, right? Like she was the communications director of Turning Point. In 2019, she founded the Blexit movement, allegedly. August 2019, she married George Farmer, who's the son of a lord, who was also in the Conservative Party. Oh my God. When the couple met in December 2018, George Farmer was the chairman of Turning Point UK. Then he became the CEO of Parler. As Candace's visibility grew, she also became involved in French far-right politics. She was invited to be the headline speaker at the Convention de la Droite in Paris, September 2019. The convention was organized by associates of Marion Marshall, the niece of Marine Le Pen, the President Macron's political adversary. During Candace's speech, she criticized President Macron. Oh my Lord, how dare she? Calling him weak, a weak leader. Oh my God. Well, I mean, look, listen, maybe I would have even possibly been able to disagree with her at that point, but now, I think we all see. And shortly after the event, Candace tagged Marichal in a comment to an X post showing a video of the two speaking. Quote, "In the near future, there will be a deeper alliance between France and the United States. Thank you, Marianne Marichal, for widening my understanding of the challenges faced by France today." Marichal replied favorably, thanking Owens for her courage. Owens' criticism of President Macron continued and increased until after the 2022 Russian incident with you know who. Over the years, Candace's network has included prominent conservative figures. I don't care. Why are they saying so much about this? Extreme or conspiratorial rhetoric, such as Charlie Kirk, Alex Jones, Nigel Farage, and even Kanye West. Ooh. Oh my God, this is the president of a country. He has the power to start a war. Girl. During Paris Fashion Week in the fall of 2022, Owens appeared with Kanye West wearing controversial White Lives Matter t-shirts, a slogan condemned by civil rights groups as a white supremacist response to the Black Lives Matter movement. Kanye West posted a photo of him and Candace Owens wearing the shirts with the caption, "Everyone knows that Black Lives Matter was a scam." Quote. The quote goes on, "Now it's over. You are welcome." End quote. Around this time, Kanye announced plans to buy Parler, George Farmer's company. The deal collapsed shortly after Adidas ended its contract with West for making anti-Semitic comments. Okay, this is a webbing moment, is it not? Hello. In 2021, Candace joined the Daily Wire, where she hosted her talk show until her departure in 2024. So she was there from 2021 to 2024 at the Daily Wire. She left the Daily Wire in March 2024 following public clashes with co-founder Ben Shapiro over her, quote, increasingly anti-Semitic rhetoric. In the wake of the October 7th, you know what, she voiced strong opinions against certain people. Her commentary escalated from political criticism to overt anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. On her talk show, she alleged that secret Jewish, quote, gangs commit horrific things in Hollywood. And Candace has said she didn't say this. She did say the things quoted, that gangs do commit horrific things in Hollywood, but she said she swears that she didn't say Jewish, and that's why they didn't put it in a quote. And I think it's kind of a strong point. If she did say that, they should have put it in a quote. That would have been much stronger. But I don't know. I'd love to see the evidence. Let's put that in purple. I want to see the purple. I want to see the evidence of this. She also said they do it on social media. She repeated the long debunked blood libel myth that Jewish people do something nasty. These comments justifiably received widespread condemnation. Following her departure from the Daily Wire, Candace did not slow down. In fact, she seized the opportunity to become even more extreme. In June 2024, she independently relaunched her talk show under the name Candace on YouTube. In September, she posted an interview with Kanye West, during which both claimed that Jewish people control the media. Okay, I would like a timestamp. I would like a citation point if they did say that or not. I'm not familiar enough with this claim. So I'm gonna put that in purple too. I want to see that come out in Discovery. YouTube removed the video. Oh, okay. Well, they still got to put a timestamp. And suspended and demonetized the channel for violating hate speech policies. Despite this, Owens persisted in promoting conspiracy theories, including calling certain, you know what, experimentation on certain people during that time bizarre propaganda. These actions led the Australian government to deny Candace a visa in 2025, citing a risk that her presence could incite discord, including that Australia's national interest is best served when Candace Owens is somewhere else. Oh, girl. They mean. Despite the inflammatory and demonstrably false nature of many of her public statements, Owens' audience has continued to grow. As of July 2025, that's this month, Owens has over 4.47 million subscribers on YouTube, and her videos have garnered millions of views. She has 6.9 million followers on X. Okay, then get to the next section. Owens repeats the outlandish claim that Brigitte Macron was born a man on the Daily Wire precisely because she knew its shock value would boost her visibility. In March 2024, that's last year, just prior to her departure from the Daily Wire, Owens began promoting the false claim that Mrs. Macron was born a man. On March 11th, 2024, Candace published an episode of her The Daily Wire podcast, Candace Owens, titled Insane. This is the biggest political scandal in human history. She reported on the Brigitte Macron conspiracy theory that was making its way through the courts in France. Owens was the first to bring this theory to the U.S. media and to a global audience. That same day, defendants announced the video in an X post repeating that it is the biggest scandal that has ever happened in politics in human history. And look, this I kind of noticed, I kind of clocked y'all. You can kind of see who, they might change their picture now, but if y'all see this account right here posting anything that's got this pink daisy like this, you know, things to think about, because that's who's taking screenshots, whoever's got this pink daisy. Candace claims she learned about this theory from a 2021 debunking story published by the Daily Mail. Okay, so Daily Mail, let's see the footnote. Paul Bronke and Peter Allen. The proof. France's First Lady wasn't born a man. The true story of Brigitte Macron's controversial background is revealed as wicked slur is spread by the French far right to damage. So Daily Mail went ahead and just ran it. They ran with it. I would be interested to see if the Daily Mirror, was posting anything about this, because isn't that owned by the Maxwells, or did they sell it? Owens falsely claimed the article was recent, despite it being published more than 3 years ago. Oh, so this is the straws they get a grasp at. She said our article from 2021 was recent, and that's defamation, everybody. Likely to make it appear that she just happened upon this story, rather than searching for a salacious conspiracy to increase viewership. Shockingly, Owens claimed there was no debunking whatsoever. But that is false, the Macrons say. The article included multiple photos of Mrs. Macron as a child. So this is their evidence, okay? Photos of Miss Macron as a child. Also informed separate journalists met with Macron's brother, Jean-Michel, and Mrs. Macron's late husband, ex-husband, André-Louis Auzier. Owens omitted these facts. The next day, Owens followed up with another defamatory X post stating that she would stake her entire professional reputation on the fact that Brigitte Macron is in fact a man, end quote. So she said the word fact 2 times. On March 13th last year, 2024, Owens released another episode of Candace Owens entitled Media Meltdown, France's First Lady Exposed. Quote, repeating and expanding on her false claims. From the start, says paragraph 57, Owens could not keep her story straight. For example, on Owens' March 21st, 2024 appearance on the nationally syndicated radio show The Breakfast Club. Oh, of course, they're using The Breakfast Club to make their point. She said that the Macrons tried to sell the press a fake photo, which got debunked. It was actually Jean-Michel's daughter. Candace has never repeated this claim because it is demonstrably false. Paragraph 58, after Owens was dismissed from the Daily Wire on March 22nd, so the very next day. So this is starting to become interesting to me, okay, that Candace Owens departed from the Daily Wire on March 22nd, the day after she made her second story about Brigitte. Everybody's been thinking that Candace Owens got fired because of this supposed anti-Semitic statements. But what if it was Something else. What if it was something to do with the president of France? Like, the Daily Wire has removed those episodes. So what's really going on? Is there something deeper afoot? I don't know. I could tell y'all firsthand right here. I don't have any insider information about what they're doing at the Daily Wire. All right. I don't barely even remember what that other one's name was. Ben Shapiro and who else? Jeremy something. That's how much I know about them. So don't take anything I'm saying. Don't take nothing I'm saying like it's a fact. So, after Owens was dismissed from the Daily Wire on March 22nd, 2024, the outlet did the right thing and immediately removed. And the reason that I even have this like thought in my mind, I'm not even going to call it a theory or a speculation because I'm not even speculating that it did happen, but it is just an interesting turn of events that on March 21st, and this is according to Emmanuel Macron and them. Okay, this is their side of the story. They're saying the very next day after Candace did her second episode on Macron, that's when she's fired. And then that same day, or excuse me, dismissed. They didn't say fired. Dismissed. I don't know, if she was fired, if she, I really don't know. They parted ways. The very next day after she made her second Brigitte Macron episode. Oh, wait, hold on. No. It wasn't the very next day. Okay, sorry. I'm doing this live, so I got that mixed up. But it's March 13th is when she puts that episode out, right? March 13th. Then she goes on The Breakfast Club March 21st. So just within, a couple weeks. Then the very next day after The Breakfast Club, that's whenever she apparently allegedly parts ways with the Daily Wire. And then that exact same day, both videos get removed, took down. They remain available on other platforms, they saying. I bet they threatened. I bet they were like, we're going to sue you, or I don't know. Maybe they're friends. I don't know. I have no idea. Like I said, I'm not in the books and records over there. So let's move to the next section. This one says, fired from the Daily Wire and faced with clear evidence debunking her claim. So they do say fired right here. Look, is that defamation? Owens continues to push the conspiracy. Is it a conspiracy or a conspiracy theory? These are different things. Idiot. Now from her own podcast. Despite the extensive and publicly available evidence confirming the truth about the Macron's identities and history, Owens persisted in spreading her false and defamatory allegations, even after her termination from the Daily Wire, reportedly due in part to her repeated dissemination of baseless conspiracy theories. So they're saying that disseminating conspiracy theories is what got Candace fired. So that kind of supports my little, question I asked earlier. She continued, Owens showed no sign of retracting or tempering her allegations. She continued promoting her preconceived narrative undeterred by professional consequences or contradictory facts. Undeterred by professional consequences. This also feels very, very similar to like allegations that have been made about me. Like in the lawsuit, they kind of tried to make it seem like I was fired from my law firm. But I wasn't. I quit. And they tried to make it seem like, they parted ways over her use of social media. Yeah, I quit because I wasn't about to have nobody telling me what the hell I can talk about on the clock or off the clock, off the clock. I was not about to have anybody tell me what I could talk about on my own Twitter account, on my own YouTube account. That's why I quit. So I guess, technically because of my social media use. But it's like, I know why, in my opinion, why Lou Taylor Britney Spears' business manager came and hired my law firm to try to create, I believe, a conflict of interest. To make it to where the law firm, could tell me stop talking about her. And then indeed, and in fact, they did ask me to do that. And I said, no. I'm not going to stop talking about her. I quit. But that was a pretty extreme professional consequence that I faced within the first few months of being a lawyer. And I said it in that video that Lou Taylor has now had removed. I believe it's Lou Taylor. I can't know for sure who had it removed, but someone has had that video now removed. But I said it in the video. I said, this is what happens There's always been people asking, what, how, why don't people just say the truth? Why don't people just stand up for what's right? Why don't they just do what's right? Why do they allow themselves to be, silenced? And it's because they will threaten your entire career, not just your way to make money, but you're kind of like your identity, like what you've worked your whole life to be and do. The things you've worked the hardest for, they come right after them. And if you are not of upstanding moral character, you will fold. And sometimes, even if you are of upstanding moral character, there are certain reasons why you just can't do certain things that, or you have to do certain things. When you're getting ambush litigation, I could see why somebody would have to take something down or whatever. But I said it in that video. Now I know why. Now I know why. And look, it's like that same kind of malicious, type of underlying tone here. She continued, whatever she was doing, undeterred by professional consequences. Okay, so a professional consequence. So I don't know. This kind of starting to look like maybe it had something a little more to do than just Israel, why she was let go from Daily Wire. Because we also, know or have heard from Candace Owens that these people contacted the president, the sitting president, over this stuff. So why wouldn't they contact the Daily Wire? Why wouldn't they immediately contact the Daily Wire, actually? I think Candace should, I don't know, maybe request and discovery some of ththose communications. I don't know what resulted in them taking down the videos. I don't know if that's discoverable. I don't know. She has a very good lawyer, so I'll let them sort it out. Anyway, defendants launched Owens' independent podcast called Candace on June 10th, 2024. That's last year, so it's been out for about a year. Knowing her false claims about the Macrons had caught fire in March, Owens seized the moment, recycling them, starting the very day she premiered Candace. The very day she premiered Candace was a Brigitte Macron story. Fueled by sensational claim. I don't know if that's what it actually says. Knowing her false claims about the Macrons had caught fire in March, Owens seized the moment, recycling them, starting the very day she premiered Candace. She took to X, declaring that Miss Macron was a man. Okay, I see what they're saying. So she was on X saying Brigitte is a man, trying to promote her podcast. That's what they're trying to say. And again, I mean, this is something I haven't seen any evidence. Maybe it's there, maybe it's not. I don't know. Fueled by sensational claims, the show quickly gained attention, earning the second spot on Edison Research's list of top new podcasts for 2024. Awesome. A man. Oh, so this is the tweet in question. Seriously, someone said something rather rude, but he's allowed. Seriously, WTF is Emmanuel Macron married to, and then Candace said a man. So this is the tweet in question. June 10th, 2024. Okay, there you go. There's the evidence. Okay, so I could take away the purple here because guess what? They put the evidence in there. Thank you. There it is. So 2 days after the podcast starts, this is June 12th, 2024, Owens appeared on Piers Morgan Uncensored to push more false and defamatory claims. So this is when she went on Piers Morgan about the Macrons. Claims even Piers Morgan, known for his provocative style, dismissed as absurd. Even Piers Morgan couldn't get down with this theory, they saying. Owens doubled down the next day by republishing clips from the interview, repeating her false allegation. Again, the next day on the June 13th episode of Candace, so she doubles down on her own podcast again after going on Piers Morgan. Recognizing that her false claims about the Macrons were drawing significant attention, Owens escalated further. On June 17th, 2024, defendants released an episode titled, So, is Brigitte Macron a man? Oh, girl. To repeat the discredited allegations from her March episodes that had since been deleted. So somehow, some way, those episodes about Brigitte Macron, and this is a big somehow, some way. I mean, I'm very interested in finding out the how and the way. I'm reading some of y'all's comments. Okay. So the Daily Wire, the two Daily Wire episodes, Candace had made 2 episodes about Brigitte, apparently, on the Daily Wire. They got deleted. But then June 17th, a few months later, Candace releases an episode on her newly independently launched podcast called So Is Brigitte Macron a Man? She allegedly repeated the quote discredited allegations from her March episodes that had since been deleted by the Daily Wire. I might have said Mail a while ago, I meant Wire. Seeking to drive traffic to her new venture and expand her claims, Owens opened by warning that the Macrons were going to come for her life. They're going to come for my life, she said. She then repeated the categorically false claim that the Macrons had deployed the Secret Service to intimidate and detain journalists to hide the truth of Mrs. Macron's transition and identity theft. Finally, Owens linked these allegations to a broader, equally baseless conspiracy theory that the world is being run by a gang of satanic PDF files masquerading. What? I need a footnote. I need a citation. I need a timestamp. This is a very loud claim to make in the public square without a freaking footnote, so much as a link, not a footnote in sight. They saying Candace is alleging world is being run by a gang of satanic PDF files masquerading as Jewish people. I'm going to need to see. I'm going to need to see the evidence. Maybe she said this, y'all. This is, wow. Okay. So projecting, Owens claimed the Macrons were not behaving in ways one does when you're telling the truth. She claimed there's no photos from the first 30 years of Macron's life. Okay, that does seem a bit interesting, but contradicted herself just moments later by admitting that photos of a young Mrs. Macron had actually been released, but she just doesn't believe they're real. Okay, well, that's okay. That's not defamation. She doesn't have to believe they're real. And she did say that they've been released. So I think that actually covers her on that claim. The clicks kept coming. Oh, they hate when you get in a click. Oh, they hate when you get a click. So Owens kept going, seizing every opportunity to promote her salacious claims. Defendants released another episode mentioning the conspiracy. Is it a conspiracy or a conspiracy theory? Get it together over there, y'all. On July 1st last year, Owens repeated her false claims in an episode encouraging viewers to reject scientific findings in favor of following their gut. On its face, I have no problem with that. I don't think there's any issues with that. I mean, I need more context, of course. On July 7th last year, so about a year ago, Owens presented these false claims on the Jimmy Dore show. He's a stand-up comedian turned political commentator who regularly promotes conspiracy theories. They cannot stand a conspiracy theory, can they? Defendants went so far as to create and sell merchandise to promote these claims. On July 8th last year, defendants posted a photo of Owens in a t-shirt showing the fake Time magazine Man of the Year. Okay, girl, the shirt sold out. They're mad. The shirt sold out. Well, that shows that it's an issue of public importance, if you ask me. Oh, girl, she didn't have to do that to her. With the Chanel's on. Oh, no, that's, oh, is that Burberry? What brand is this? If it's Burberry, no. Anyway, she said, I'm calling it now. Time Man of the Year. Oh my God. But that's parody and satire cannot be defamation. This is obviously parody. Owens went so far as to claim the 2024 Olympic opening ceremony, a tribute to Greek mythology. Y'all, I made a video about this. Everybody and their mom is about to start coming out and saying what I already said last year. I already made a video about this, about how the whole entire thing was a Bacchanalia ceremony. And the Bacchanalia ceremonies used to be ancient orgiastic rituals, which involved group sex, as well as pooping and vomiting on each other. Okay, I already tried to tell y'all it was painted on an old Greek pot. I already tried to tell y'all. I made 2 episodes about it, one on here and one on BJ Investigates. I already tried to tell y'all. Everybody and their mom is about to start coming out and acting like, oh, we didn't know. I already connected it to Marie Antoinette. I already connected it to the French Revolution. I already been out here saying that. Okay, so you can catch up on those episodes if you want to. I was designed to, okay. So Owens went so far as to claim the 2024 Olympic opening ceremony, a tribute to Bacchanalian orgiastic rituals, was designed to honor Brigitte Macron because she is transgender. This claim is not only absurd, but self-defeating. Owens also insists that Mrs. Macron's biological sex is a state secret, making such a tribute impossible even by her own logic. Ooh, pew, 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 pew. She then escalated her rhetoric, falsely claiming that the Macrons are part of a very small group of elite oligarchs who routinely practice certain sexual predispositions and PDF file philia. They believe in Baphomet, girl. They have brought Bath into this. They brought the Bath into this. That's the same thing as Moloch and Baal, I believe, if I have my demons right. And worship a quote. This is a quote, okay? They believe in Baphomet and worship a transgender deity that controls the world. This is another baseless, inherently implausible claim contradicted by public evidence and common sense. Okay, so what's this baseless claim? The Macrons are part of a very small group of elite oligarchs who routinely practice being gay and PDF philia, believe in Baphomet and worship a transgender deity that controls the world. This is yet another baseless, inherently implausible claim. Y'all, honestly, please, she's getting sued for defamation for saying they worship Baphomet. So now part of this lawsuit is not only what is a man and is Brigitte Macron one or not, quote, in fact, but also the orgiastic bacchanalia rituals that they were doing at the Olympics on the Poo-Poo River. And now we're also going to have to determine whether it is a fact, whether it's a true statement or not, that the Macrons are, and I quote, part of a very small group of elite oligarchs who routinely practice bleepality and PDF file philia, believe in Baphomet. So this is like, whether or not this is true, the world Satan cabal is legitimately part of this defamation lawsuit at this point. Because if it is true, if Candace Owens can prove, for example, that it is true that a Satan pedophile ring runs the world and the Macrons are in it, then that's not defamation. Okay. She don't just have to prove it's true. She could also prove that she genuinely believes it. But then, the Macrons would argue that she made the statements in reckless disregard for the truth or falsity. That's how the argument would have to go. But I'm not laughing, y'all. I am not laughing over whether or not it's real. Okay. I'm not laughing about anything other than the fact that this is going to be decided in a Delaware state court. And this is the president of France. And we're talking about pedophile Satan rings. Okay. In the courts, we're in the court documents, and it's the president of France. That's why I'm laughing. Hello. Welcome to 2025. What? Owens bolstered this claim by reposting on X a takedown of because here's my thing, y'all. This seems so just outlandish, right? Like, it's just such an outlandish proposition to make that why would you sue over it? Like, oh my God, moving on. She is so funny for saying we're Satan worshiping PDF files. Please, we don't do, please. Oh my God. But suing over it and putting it in here, it gives it some degree of seriousness. Is that making sense? Does anybody agree with me? You can disagree. Okay, so she bolstered her claim. This is probably the most wildest thing in the lawsuit so far. I mean, this part right here, this is too much. She bolstered this claim by reposting on X a takedown of the opening ceremony and Ms. Macron by another provocative figure, Archbishop Vigano, who had just been excommunicated from the Catholic Church. A takedown. So she put a hit piece tweet or whatever. Yet again, searching for the most controversial spin, which is not illegal and is not a civil liability. You can search for the most controversial spin. What do you think TMZ been doing for 30 years? I mean, come on. Owens posted on X that Brigitte Macron is I ain't gonna say that word. Actually, I'm gonna blur that one out. I think that one's still considered a slur. You don't say that. No, wait, hold on. And she called it a demonic state secret. Well, a demonic state secret is gonna probably fall more on the opinion line of things, because how do you prove something is or is not demonic, right? Falsely claiming that Ms. Macron is a bad word. Owens used the conspicuous tag hashtag Christ is king. Oh, they're so upset. The thing is, I never could give two craps less about a Christ is king hashtag. I never thought about it. I never gave it much thought at all. But then once everybody started arguing whether or not you're allowed to say it or not, I'm like, why? Just let people say Christ is king, for God's sake. Who cares? Continuing to capitalize on the attention of sensational figures and known liars. Ooh. Owens published a post by Alex Jones, a notorious defamer who owes $1.5 billion to the families of the Sandy Hook victims for his malicious lies and repeated Candace's false allegations. Jones is one of the most unreliable sources imaginable. Owens stated that Brigitte Macron was born Jean-Michel Trogneau. He lived as a man for about 30 years before transitioning to Brigitte. While he lived as a man, he fathered 3 children. Again, Owens tagged Christ is king, and yet again aligning with the most controversial figures. Defendants brought on Andrew Tate. Oh my God, they are rolling out the all-star lineup. Andrew Tate, Kanye West, Alex Jones. Owens proved that no amount of credible evidence would convince her to abandon her preconceived narrative when she platformed Tate's claim that the French election was rigged. Oh. Owens went further, claiming the Macrons are being blackmailed and they're being selected for these positions. She dismissed all critics by saying, "The Matrix is targeting her for exposing the supposed homosexuality and pedophilia taking place in the world." Then on August 30th last year, Owens interviewed Xavier Poussard, the publisher of the defamatory confidential newsletter. Poussard became Owens's primary source, quite possibly her only source for future reporting. In this interview, Owens and Poussard agreed that the Macrons are perpetuating fraud. Okay, so there's one of the defamatory alleged statements regarding Mrs. Macron's identity and President Macron's political independence and integrity. So they're saying that these people are compromised. I mean, these are like squarely within the First Amendment. Like they're not never going to be able to win on this, in my opinion. They further claim that Mrs. Macron's nephew resembles President Macron and inferred that the Macrons' relationship was untoward. Xavier Poussard directly accused Mrs. Macron of abuse of a minor, impersonation, and identity theft. So why is not Poussard getting sued is what I want to know. Owens endorsed, adopted, and expanded on these claims, linking them to her broader conspiracy theory involving an extensive network of satanic. This is in a Delaware state court by the president of France and his wife, y'all. They're suing about satanic PDF file allegations. Every time Owens faced consequences for repeating these outrageous allegations, she refused to take responsibility and instead cast herself as the victim and blamed others. For example, September 11th, 2024, so September 11th last year, defendants embedded the August 30 episode in an X post, claiming YouTube removed the video for exposing the media's complicity in covering up pedophilia, when the truth is that Owens didn't abide by YouTube's content moderation policies. So see what I mean? Damned if she does, damned if she don't. I understand them being mad on one side, but it don't make sense for them to be mad on the other side. Like, you mad that she posted something outside of YouTube to avoid it getting taken down for content policy? Or you mad that she posted it on YouTube despite the policy? Because now they've bitched about both. I mean, just pick one, you know? The Macrons flatly debunked the conspiracy and also YouTube's content moderation policies. While I go out of my way to make sure I follow them and respect them and all of that, they're not the law. It's not the same thing as a law. Like, something can be legal and just violate the policies of YouTube. That doesn't mean she did something wrong. Next section. The Macrons flatly debunked the conspiracy in a retraction demand to Owens. But she mocks their response, ignores the facts, and doubles down with even more reckless claims. The Macrons, through their counsel, sent a detailed retraction demand letter to Owens via email. December 3rd last year. The retraction demand explained the falsity of Owens' defamatory statements and included an abundance of evidence that Mrs. Macron was born a woman. Okay, so they're saying we included a bunch of evidence that she was, in fact, and indeed born a woman. I want to see it. I haven't seen that letter. And I'm saying I want to see it because now they've gotten me involved. They filed in the courts of the United States of America, which is where we are the public and we are the people, so we have the right to see evidence. If you're going to bring it to our courts and use our money and our tax system, who's paying these judges? It's not Trogno. It's not Macron. It's us. It's specifically taxpayers in Delaware. She was not a blood relative. Okay, so they said she's not blood related to what's his name, Emmanuel. The Macrons are not being controlled or blackmailed by any group of people. Owens did not respond to the December 3rd email. Well, she did make a video. It got several million views, I'm sure. Owens then repeatedly ignored multiple additional attempts by the Macrons to engage. Okay, so they are saying in their lawsuit filing that they made attempts to engage with Candace Owens and she ignored them. That's what they're saying. I don't know if that's true. The Macrons sent a follow-up email December 18th, which went unanswered. Then the next month, January 8th, a couple weeks later, the Macrons contacted Owens' former legal counsel. So her former lawyer, I don't know who that could be, to facilitate communication, and we received no response. Next, the Macrons attempted to personally serve the December retraction demand on January 9th, but were ignored, then blocked by Owens' lawyer, who ultimately agreed to accept service by email. The December retraction demand explicitly denied each of Owens' claims and presented evidence that conclusively disproved them. I mean, again, they got me dragged into it, so now I want to see the evidence. The December retraction demand reminded Owens that the very Daily Mail article she cited as support for her conspiracies told readers that the Courier Picard, a daily newspaper in Amiens, included Miss Macron's birth announcement. So, okay, just because there's a birth announcement, like, here's the thing too, y'all, like, to be fair, like the Candace Owens theory that she's got from, Xavier Poussard and Natasha Ray and all of them, the theory goes that Brigitte Trogneau was born, and there was a person named Brigitte Trogneau who was born. So, of course, there would be a birth announcement. That's agreed upon. But the birth announcement for someone being born named Brigitte Trogneau doesn't mean that the Brigitte Macron, who's married to Macron in the office right now, is the same one. Now, would it be preposterous? Would it be a crazy thing to make up all that? Sure, absolutely. All that. But just logically, factually, just looking only at facts, just because there is a birth announcement for someone named Brigitte Trogneau in a certain year doesn't mean it could be the same exact birthday to Brigitte. That's a pretty common name, right? Brigitte. Could two Jane Smiths have been born on the same day? So just because there's like an announcement, it could be an announcement for somebody else. We got to see more evidence. And so I don't actually agree that this would conclusively disprove. Now, is it some evidence? Look, there's a birth announcement for someone named that. Yeah, it's some evidence, but it's not conclusive. The birth announcement states that Brigitte was born April 13th, 1953. And that her siblings, Anne-Marie, Jean-Claude, Mary Vaughn, Monique, and Jean-Michel, they got Jean-Claude and Jean-Michel, y'all, Trogneau, have a great joy in announcing the arrival of their little sister, Brigitte. So a little girl named Brigitte was born. Okay, that proves that. But there's a missing link, that the one that's in the White House or the Elysee Palace over there, that one is the same one that was born right here. Again, does she have to submit to some type of proof of this? No. But she's the one who's now suing, so she's going to have to prove it. I mean, I didn't put her up to this. Defendants knew this information, but Owens omitted it from her series precisely because it contradicted. I don't think she did. I think she included this. I do remember her talking about this, but I don't know. Maybe I hallucinated it. They're trying to say this omission was the actual malice, but I don't actually think there was an omission at all. I think she did say there was a birth announcement. Hold on. I need to do something. I have a video coming out after this one on BJ Investigates, but I'm not ready to be done over here yet, so I need to push it back. So just give me a second, a moment. Okay. The December retraction demand reminded Owens that in addition to a first communion photo, okay, so we have a first communion photo as well as that birth announcement and a family photo. There are additional publicly available photos of Ms. Macron as a child. In one such photo, she is playing in a garden as a young girl. This photo was mentioned in the 2021 Daily Mail debunking article and the December retraction demand, but Owens never shared it with her viewers because it does not fit her preconceived narrative. Okay, this is not true. I've definitely seen this picture on Candace's channel and this picture. This one, I think, is the cover of the book. Maybe she never showed this one. I don't know if I ever saw this one, but I definitely saw this one. And Candace claims that this is not actually Brigitte. She claims that that's probably her daughter. And then Candace definitely showed this one. And this one right here is prominently featured. I think they have like a split screen. The December retraction demand reminded Owens that Mrs. Macron's marriage to Andre Louis Ozier and his existence were well documented. The most obvious proof. Okay, what is the most obvious proof? That's what I want to know. Of his existence is the 3 children. Okay, let's get him in the ancestry.com and run the check. He fathered with Mrs. Macron, all of whom have acknowledged him as their father and adopted his last name. Adopted his last name. That's interesting. Not were given, but adopted. That's interesting. It's interesting to use the word adopted in such a sentence, right? Initially, Owens falsely stated that there was no publicly... Okay. Initially, Candace, quote, falsely stated that there were no publicly available photos of this first husband, Mr. Ozier. The December retraction demand reminded Owens that a publicly available photo does exist of him from his wedding to Mrs. Macron. Since then, Owens has found at least one additional photo. I don't know if I've seen that one. Through her relationship with Xavier Poussard. To discredit this photo, Owens initially claimed the subjects are not Mr. Ozier and Mrs. Macron, but Jean-Louis Ozier and his first wife, Susan Spray. The December retraction demand reminded Owens that Jean-Louis debunked this claim, stating, when Andre Louis got married, I was 8 years older and I was working in Germany, and there may be a slight family resemblance, but that's not to say that we are the same person. Indeed, Jean-Louis has testified in French court that the photo is not of him, and he actually won a defamation claim against Ray and Roy on that basis. So they're saying the French, so Emmanuel and Brigitte are saying this man right here is the first husband, and that is Brigitte. When Candace was confronted with this information, she changed her theory, but rather than accept this photo for what it is, an image of Mrs. Macron from her marriage, her first marriage, Owens concocted a new story. She changed course in the series to claim that Mr. Ozier is in this photo, but Miss Macron is not. Instead, she claimed that it was another woman named Brigitte Trogneux, a different Brigitte Trogneux. And Miss Macron refused to verify that the image was of her. Another lie. Oh, so yeah, okay. So Candace did say that she and her lawyer, through her lawyer, asked the Élysée Palace, basically the France White House, to verify, is this picture of Brigitte Macron, yes or no? The one that lives in the White House right now, in the Élysée Palace? And Candace said they would not answer her. But they're saying that's a lie. We did answer her. Owens initially told her audience that no journalists could find Louis, the first husband, but that is false. The December retraction demand reminded Owens that another Daily Mail debunking article, so they got Daily Mail running all kind of debunking over there, explained that reporters for several outlets, including the Daily Mail, tracked Andre Louis down to Lille several years ago, but he declined to comment. That aligns with his family's statements that he is a very private man. The December retraction demand also stated that Mr. Ozier had passed away December 24th, 2019. And his daughter with Brigitte Tiffon, she spoke about his death afterward and noted that he was buried in the strictest privacy and that he was a nonconformist who valued his anonymity more than anything. The daughter ended by saying he must be respected. Okay, girl. In her earlier reporting, Owens distorted these words and the family's request for privacy into a warning, a threat almost, not to look any further. It does seem weird. Like, I don't know if it's like quite a threat, but like, it's just so specific and it just does kind of seem unsettling. Like a nonconformist who valued above everything and anything his anonymity of everything you can value in life, family, love, loyalty, freaking money, for God's sake. He valued anonymity the most. Weird. Uttered weird. Tiffane ended by saying he must be respected. In early reporting, Owens distorted this as a threat, not to look any further. In her series, after being confronted with proof of the first husband's existence through his documented death and funeral, she again changed course and distorted the Ozier's family's request for privacy into a plot to cover up wrongdoing. In the December retraction demand, Owens was also informed that Jean-Michel Trogneau is alive and well in Amiens. Emmanuel Anizan is a journalist for this magazine, reported having contact with him in September of 2023. This too was included in the Daily Mail's 2024, quote, debunking article. In fact, this journalist wrote an entire book disproving the disinformation campaign surrounding Mrs. Macron. Shockingly, Owens cites Miss Anizan's book in the series, but fails to tell her viewers it completely disproves her central thesis. Well, you don't have to say that. That's not required. As long as she told him about it, she cites the book. Okay, go read the book. Like, to some extent, people got to figure stuff out themselves, too. The December retraction demand provided evidence that Jean-Michel has recently appeared in public. He attended President Macron's investitures in 2017. And so I guess that's like his inauguration. Links to publicly available videos from those events were included in the retraction demand. Not only was Jean-Michel present, but also in the same frame as Ms. Macron. Conclusive evidence that debunks Owens's demonstrably false claims. Okay, so there he is. Oh my God. The 2017, he looks like somebody, like, no offense, all due respect and all that, but he looks like an extra from the Wizard of Oz. Like he's about to pull out. He represents the Lollipop Guild. Like, especially this with that, it looks like a mutton chop. I guess it's not because he doesn't have one right here, but okay, so here's Macron. Here's Brigitte. Here's this guy, the supposed brother. So this is supposedly Jean-Michel Trogneau. Okay, and this is him again. Supposedly, this is him. Same frame. Okay, this is the president of France. Holy shit. Okay, this is the president of France and his wife, and they filed this lawsuit today with this picture in it. The December retraction demand informed Owens that Jean-Michel's defamation claims against Natasha Ray and Amandine Roy prove his existence and that he is not Mrs. Macron. At Ray and Roy's June 19th, 2024 trial, Jean-Michel's attorney. So this is Brigitte Macron's brother. He has an attorney. He's apparently at the trial presenting Mrs. Macron's and Jean-Michel Trogneau's electoral cards to the court, demonstrating that they both had voted in the European elections, but they didn't show up to court at the same time and they bothered to do all that. That's weird. As a result of that trial, Ray and Roy were ordered to pay Jean-Michel $5,000 in civil damages. Wow. This information is also publicly available, but Owens has never informed her audience of these facts. Well, she has. All this stuff that they just said, I heard every single bit of that already on a Candace Owens episode, and I already told you I didn't even watch all of them. So she definitely did say that stuff. The December retraction demand explicitly stated that Mrs. Macron is the biological mother of 3 children, proving she was born as a woman and has not engaged in identity theft. In her earlier reporting, Owens claimed that Miss Macron fathered 3 children with Brigitte Proba Ozier. Wow, there's a lot of Brigittes around. Whom she falsely claimed was the niece of Jean-Louis Ozier, the uncle of Miss Macron's late ex-husband. She accused Jean-Louis of forging the children's birth certificates to hide Miss Macron's secrets. This is the same Jean-Louis who she claimed was in the wedding photo of Mr. Macron and her first husband, and who has successfully sued. Okay, so Jean-Louis has sued them for defamation and won. Then the brother also sued them and won. And Brigitte's now suing and won, but then stuff got overturned. I don't know which ones. Owens initially claimed that the photo of Miss Macron, in which she is described as a 36-year-old teacher named Brigitte Ozier, is not actually of her, but rather of the fictitious Brigitte Proba Ozier. In doing so, Owens recklessly disregarded the facts that the photographed woman in this picture had the same name as Miss Macron did at the time, had the same occupation that Miss Macron had at the age of 36, and bears a striking resemblance. Oh, girl, they put it through the Remini. They put that thing through the Remini. That could be anybody. Like, oh, man. I got an aunt that looks just like that. Hold on. Oh, man. Jesus, that's crazy. Okay, so a younger version of Macron. Okay, so Owens later admitted that this was false, but she never removed the episodes, including the false claim. When Owens realized her claims about Miss Macron's children could not possibly be true, she dropped them, but offered no alternative explanation, just a gaping hole. She counted on her audience being too captivated or too unquestioning to notice the gap, let alone call her out on it. The reason is clear. Any theory that claims Mrs. Macron is not the mother of her children recklessly disregards the striking resemblance between her and her daughters. I think they look alike. I think that's true. I think they look alike. The December retraction demand reminded Owens that Mrs. Macron, Jean-Michel, Jean-Louis, along with his wife, Catherine, have sued the originators of this story for defamation. On September last year, Ray and Roy were found guilty of defamation and ordered to pay damages to Brigitte and her brother, Jean-Michel. Before that, the women were found guilty and fined for lying about Jean-Louis and Catherine. Owens disregarded this credible evidence because it contradicted her preconceived narrative. Owens responds with ridicule and doubles down. January this year, she posted on X that the Macrons had sent her a legal letter. The post demonstrates Owens' loose relationship with the truth. In her X post, she claimed that in mid-November, she made contact with a journalist claiming to have a trove of evidence to support the claim that the First Lady of France lived as a man named Jean-Michel Trogneau before becoming and transitioning to Brigitte. Owens crafted this Twitter post to suggest that she had a new source, but the journalist was actually just Poussard, whom she had already met and interviewed. She claims that just 10 days after their initial correspondence, the Macrons had sent her a letter proving that Owens saw and ignored the initial outreach in early December. Owens claimed the Macrons demanded she not publicize her letter. In fact, that letter that they sent, the cease and desist. In fact, the letter had only a heading stating it was not for publication or attribution, a far cry from the demand she claimed. Most troubling, Owens promised she would publicize the December retraction demand, but she never did. And the reason is clear. The 33-page December retraction demand conclusively debunked Candace's claims and exposed her lies. Owens knows a media firestorm when she sees one, sensing an opportunity to amplify her claims and attract more attention. She falsely asserted that Tucker Carlson, a high-profile political commentator. Wait, hold on. How does he get to escape being called far right and everything else? Everybody else been so far right and far left and this and that. But apparently he was not named in the retraction demand. Defendants tagged Carlson on X, banking on the controversy to draw him in and further spread Owens's false narrative. Once again, framing herself as a victim. In her January 10th episode of Candace, she claimed that the Macrons attempted to personally serve her with the December retraction demand to intimidate and terrify her. I think that could be true. That's not defamation. However, she neglected to tell her viewers that, in fact, the Macrons only resorted to personal service after she ignored multiple emails. Owens claimed the Macrons strenuously requested that she not publicize the retraction demand, and the letter said all over it that it was not to be shared. Another, at best, gross exaggeration. The letter contained only a standard first-page heading, confidential, not for publication or attribution. Owens continued to refuse to meaningfully engage with the December retraction demand. Instead, she intentionally led her audience. Wait, hold on. So they're saying on the one side of their mouth that they told her, don't publish this, don't share this. And then she didn't share it. And they're saying, well, the reason she didn't share it is clear. It's obvious. It's because she doesn't want to tell people the truth. It's like, wait, hold on. You just said the first thing on the whole page at the beginning of the whole thing is do not share this. So which one is it? She intentionally led her audience to believe that the Macrons refused to say whether Miss Macron was born a woman or address Owens' other claims. But Owens knew that the December retraction demand did address each of her claims and proved them to be false. Owens, quote, cherry-picked portions of the December retraction demand to read to her audience, but did not present the evidence against her claims. So she cherry-picked, they're saying. She didn't actually show y'all the evidence that actually proves stuff. Why not? The Macrons say it was because it contradicted her preconceived narrative. This is like literally stuff that they tried to say about me in the lawsuit that people filed against me. It's like I'm getting flashbacks. For about me when they said it wasn't true. But I don't know, here, I don't know any of these people in any of this stuff. These are all allegations until proven. I don't know any of these people. And I wasn't there. Indeed, it says, Owens told her viewers that she had evidence disproving portions of the December retraction demand, but she was not going to tell you today. Spoiler, she never presented it. Owens leveraged that retraction demand to generate buzz. Oh my God, generate buzz. It's like literally, is it the same freaking lawyers? And build anticipation for her upcoming episodes. Again, she implied she had a new source with a trove of evidence, but that source was Poussard, whom she had already presented to her audience. Where's the harm in this though? Like, what's the harm? Because like the harm has to be proven by law. She then falsely claimed that the timing of the December retraction demand demonstrated the communications of the journalists are being monitored. Oh, she said that the communications of the journalists were being monitored. Quite an allegation. But she admitted she had no evidence to support this. Rather than reconsider her false claims, Owens doubled down, blaming the Macrons for her content being removed from YouTube and vowing not to retract what she deems to be the truth. On January 11th, 2025, Candace posted on X, all correspondence between legal teams will be available for the public to read, but Candace has not lived up to this promise because she knows the legal correspondence contradicts her false claims. It's probably because they threatened to sue her, I would guess. As with her other false allegations, she promised strong evidence that the first communion photo was not Mrs. Macron, but she never delivered it. She also pretended the Macrons had not definitively denied her claims, ignoring the clear contradictory evidence that they did already provide. Defendants continued to mock the Macrons' attempt to correct the record, demonstrating that Owens was not interested in the truth. She would rather make salacious and false claims to boost her revenue. For example, she reposted and expanded on a post from Alexander Dugan, featuring Miss Macron as a Neanderthal and wondering if he too would be sent a retraction demand. We've made some fact checking and can certify the first appearance of Brigitte Macron from Neanderthalian cave of south of France, and she doesn't only belong to a different gender but a different race than all the rest of the humans. So obviously parody. This is parody and looks nothing like her. On January 2011, this year, defendants reposted on X the false assertion that the December retraction demand admitted that Ms. Macron R-worded the president. This was blatantly false, and Owens knew it. Now, on this claim, she says that it is still firmly her belief that that happened because the age of consent in France is very young. It's like 15 or 16, but only if there is not a, like a dynamic relationship of consent. Like if somebody's your teacher, somebody's your family member, and they're that much older and you're like 16 or whatever, it would still be considered, R word. That's Candace's allegation and understanding of it. The truth is that the retraction demand pointedly denied that the president was statutorily R-worded. And again, this doesn't really matter if he denied it or she denied it. What matters is under the law. Like a lot of people are victims under the law and they would not say they were victims. I don't want to be called a victim for many reasons, et cetera, et cetera. You will note the lawyers intentionally leave out how old Brigitte was. The public was told a lie from the very beginning, Candace says in this tweet. They were told Macron was 17 and Brigitte was 34. But all of that was media curated tale to help bury the obvious perversion. Oh my God, it is perverted. That stuff is nasty. On January 12th this year, defendants again reposted another claim that the December retraction demand admitted Mrs. Macron R-worded the president and agreed it was indeed the most stunning admission from the letter. Is that, they met whenever he was under the age or whatever, and she took that as an admission of the elements of statutory R. Owens repeated this claim on the next day on her January 13th, 2025 episode. Again, she knew these statements were false when she made them, but the truth did not matter when there were followers to be gained. So again, okay, we have another very intense, yes or no going on out here. This lawsuit is going to come down to the truth or falsity of whether or not Brigitte Macron R-worded the president under French law. Like, hello. Owens' response to the retraction demand was picked up by other media outlets who understood from Owens that the Macrons had not provided any denials or evidence against her false claims, including that the Macrons were lying about Mrs. Macron's birth gender, just as Owens intended. Those same outlets described Owens as doubling down on all her claims. Defendants prioritized profit over truth and used the retraction demand letter as fuel for even more content. Yes, that might be true, but that's not against the law. On January 13th, 2025, defendants posted on X that Candace was going to be sharing her legal response to the Macrons, one that she had not yet sent to them. In Candace's January 13th, 2025 episode, she promised to upload her entire response to her locals page, but yet again, she did not follow through. At that point, Candace decided to escalate her claims further. In that same episode, January this year, Owens falsely implied that the Macrons were responsible for the unaliving of a journalist investigating them. Again, y'all, if Candace is able to prove this is true, they got a lot bigger problems than losing a defamation case. Owens claimed that the Macrons have a dark side, and one by one, these independent journalists and researchers begin to suffer. This is a true story, Candace said. She told her audience about Isabella Ferreira, who was investigating the Macrons' relationship and landed upon something bigger. 2 weeks later, this Isabella Ferreira is found unalive. The authorities ruled her unalive a sui, but Owens claimed that it was almost impossible. The intended unavoidable and false implication is that Ferreira was unalived for investigating the Macrons. Who cares? She literally said the authorities ruled it a sui, but that is almost impossible. So she said what the authorities said, and then she said her opinion, and you can decide which one you believe. Owens repeated that the retraction demand did not deny that Brigitte is trans or explicitly state that Brigitte Macron was born a biological woman. Brigitte said that's false. The letter explicitly stated the Macrons were not concealing Miss Macron's biological sex and that she was born Brigitte Trogneau, a woman. Owens told the Macrons to bring this lawsuit. Yeah, this is one that they held against me too. I'm wondering if are they all in the same club, these defamation lawsuit filers? Owens told the Macrons to bring the lawsuit. She continued, "Don't even waste your money on getting a courier to file. I'll file it for you. I'll run down to the courthouse and I'll file the lawsuit for you," Candace said. She claimed, "I might even cover your legal expenses." Owens displayed her ill will toward the Macrons. Ill will toward someone doesn't count as actual malice, just so that y'all know. She said she was disgusted by their relationship. "You make me sick, Brigitte," Candace apparently allegedly said. On January 16th, 2025, several days after publicly referencing its contents, Owens finally sent a response to the retraction demand letter. Rather than retract her demonstrably false statements, Owens defiantly reaffirmed them. She provided no evidence or justification to support her defamatory claims, and I don't think that's true. I think she does provide evidence and justification to support her claims. Now, does that make them true or not? I mean, I don't know. I wasn't there, but I think it's a little bit dishonest to say she provided no evidence. Instead, she attempted to trivialize the matter by insisting that the Macrons reframe their denials as a response to 21 questions, an apparent effort to convert her baseless investigation into a publicity stunt. Owens then misled her audience by claiming that because she had posed these questions, the Macrons could never prove actual malice. She failed to disclose that the Macrons had already addressed the substance of her questions. So what did she fail to disclose? I mean, the Macrons can put this letter out. Nobody's stopping them. Owens then releases an eight-part series pushing the conspiracy, packed with false and defamatory claims she knows are blatantly false. She premiered the series January 31st, 2025, and it began with an introductory episode followed by 6 chapters and concluded with an epilogue. Throughout the series, Candace made the false and defamatory allegations that Ms. Macron, born a man, stole another person's identity to become Brigitte. Ms. Macron and President Macron are blood relatives involved in INCEST. President Macron was chosen to be the president of France. This is the best one. As part of MK Ultra or similar mind control program. Because like Lima and Adam went on his podcast and talked about it. It was like one of the first things they were like trying to debunk. Like, they think I'm MK Ultra. Like, I had literally never said that or never made that claim. And she was like, they think I'm MK Ultra. It's like, why is she saying that? That's so weird. And Miss Macron, and her first episode ever with the Dissociated or whatever, that's in France, just so y'all know. Macron are committing forgery, fraud, abuses of power. She does the introduction January 31st, 2025. Announced the introductory episode on X. It premiered all over the place. This is the episode, was trending on Twitter. Despite all the censorship, this is the tweet, and prosecution in France were already trending because today is becoming Brigitte Day. The French citizens have been gaslit for years by their media, and that ends today. See you at 4 p.m. as we begin to awaken the world to the sadistic world of Brigitte and her groomed pet, Emmanuel Macron, plus the power structures that protect them both. That was the tweet. Just before the premiere of the introduction, Owens claimed that her website was attacked by a state-level actor to prevent its publication. The implication was the Macrons were trying to prevent the series from premiering. Owens told, well, I mean, y'all were trying to get all the videos deleted. I could see why that would be a good implication to make. Now y'all are suing over it. Throughout the introduction, which of course I don't know, who did what. I wasn't there. Throughout the introduction, Owens made the overarching false claim that the Macrons are surrounded by a syndicate of criminals that helps them conceal their secrets, which proves they themselves must also be criminals. Owens made the following specific defamatory claims. Brigitte Macron's alleged brother, alleged, that's going to be hard. If you say I believe, it's not defamation, just to brush up on your defamation. If you're saying I believe, that's not defamation. She said, and guys, by the way, you should know that there's this strange case of what happens to every journalist who tries to touch the story. First and foremost, Isabella Ferreira. I think I mentioned this on a past episode. People who began prodding into the story as an independent journalist happened upon some huge information. pertaining to the relationship of Emmanuel Macron and Brigitte. Oh, but then she was found dead. She was found dead floating in a river, and her friend said she didn't unalive herself, but the media said she most definitely did that. There have been people who have been so concerned about like our safety and stuff. We did up on security for the time being after getting the letter from Macron, and because of the things that we know about their network and things that are happening. Like I said, to every journalist that's tried to get this out, we're taking that seriously. But also, no, at the end of the day, it's not in the security's hands. It is in God's hands. And so we just ask everybody, whether you believe or not, just pray. I don't see anything defamatory there, personally. The introduction set the tone, but this was just the tip of the iceberg of what the Macrons were allegedly involved in. pedophilia, pedestriety, lies, trying to thug people via courts. Well, girl, y'all aren't helping yourself on that allegation. Owens juxtaposed her claims of criminal activity alongside insinuations of foul play. Insinuations are not defamation. Okay, again, it has to be something specifically uttered as if it is a fact. Here's one, maybe this will qualify. She solidified her claims of abuse of power and criminal activity by stating that, quote, Brigitte Macron and Emmanuel Macron come from a circle, a syndicate of real power, old money power. Okay, that's who cares? That's not defamation. Owens painted herself as the victim for her morally superior efforts to expose what's happening with Brigitte Macron. She claimed that she was the victim of defamation by the media, which is protecting state criminals such as the Macrons. On February, state criminals such as the Macrons, again, they don't put that part in quotes. Thanks so much to Angel Clement Guidry, my cousin, for the $9.99 super chat. These people are annoying and full of you know what. I saw her whole series and they are lying. This is America and they don't even know the laws here, but Candace does. And they're going to find out, cousin. Listen, thank you for that $9.99. Thank you, Katie Ivy, for the 5 memberships, gifted memberships. After Owens escalated her claims in an introduction video and made good on her promise to release a series on the Macrons sent the February retraction demand. Okay, they sent another strongly worded letter. First one was December. Now we're in February. They told Candace her insinuation they were involved in the death of Fiera was entirely false. And again, they told Owens that they had not engaged in any criminal behavior. And again, they told Owens that there was no secret group controlling or blackmailing them with evidence of Mrs. Macron being born a man. Owens never wrote back, but instead used the demand as content for her series. She chose to publicly deliver her reply to the Macron's February retraction demand in the next episode of the series, rather than issue a direct reply to the Macrons. Well, so what? She still responded and replied just because that she did it in a way they didn't like it. As long as she was saying, their comments of like, they deny this, they this, that. I don't know what else they really want. She's not required to respond back to them in a way they want. Further evidence that she prioritized publicity over truth. Unsurprisingly, her response was to once again double down on her knowingly false and defamatory claims. That brings us to episode 1. Gaslighting the public. Oh my God. On February 4th, 2025, defendants released the next episode of the series entitled Episode 1, Gaslighting the Public. Defendants announced the release of Episode 1 on X. The episode can be found on CandaceOwens.com, YouTube, Spotify, Audible, all these places. It was premised on Owens' false claims that the Macrons have manipulated and controlled the media, even resorting to outright lies and fraud to conceal. So they manipulated and controlled the media with lies and fraud. That is the claim being made in Episode 1. And this is to conceal their past and the nature of their relationship. During Episode 1, Owens made the following specific false and defamatory claims. I literally told you that every journalist that tries to touch the story, something happens to, okay? And it is a fact that Isabella Ferreira was working on the story, had messaged according to her friends, saying that she had a bombshell about Emmanuel Macron and appreciate the French press has reported on this. And then when she was found dead floating in a river, okay, or a pond or whatever it was, the public said that she had drowned, but her friend said she was not Suey. Y'all, none of this stuff is defamation is the issue. So I've pushed off my other video several times today. So I think I'm going to call it a night on this particular lawsuit reading. I really do hate to break up a lawsuit reading, y'all, but I've been on here for 2.5 hours and I'm only 55 pages into 219. So we're going to have to finish this one tomorrow. But if you stay in your spot where you are right there, you will be redirected. Otherwise, you can go to the other channel manually, BJ Investigates, and I have an all new investigation coming out on BJ Investigates about R. Kelly trying to recruit little children to go, not little children, trying to recruit young women, and I don't know, of all ages, maybe, I don't know, who knows, by singing a song about, do you have your passport? Did you get your shots? See y'all in the live chat over there. That's all I really had for this one. In the meantime, facts ain't defamation, neither are opinions, neither is reading publicly filed documents of global importance. Love you, Minnie K. Bye.